Hello everyone and welcome back to Whisky Wednesday. This week something really fun from a distillery that I'm just loving everything they release. It is the Ardnamurchan, the Midgie Release. Midges, obviously if you go to Scotland, are a particularly problematic thing as soon as you start to get into summer. This is a new core release from Ardnamurchan, but I happen to have one of the original bottlings. In fact, if we scan this little QR code on the back, I think I've got one of like the earliest bottles. I think it's like bottle 4 or something. Not that that really matters, but I have bottle 42 of 6,200. And while I have that up, let's read some stats and statistics for you about this bottle. So, 6,200 bottles. The glass is made from 54% recycled glass. It is only £52 a bottle. No colouring, no chill filtering, and 48% ABV. The spec of the casks, we have 5 Madeira Barriques, 5 Sauternes Barriques, 1 sherry butt, and 13 bourbon barrels. 60% of the spirit is peated, 40% is unpeated, and there are some tasting notes there, but we won't go into those because we want to do our own. Massive fan of their sherry cask release, massive fan of their rum cask release. I have just purchased a whiskey shop single barrel, which is like 5.5 years old, and it's one of the most impressive cask strength whiskies I've ever tried. We'll probably review that at some point. And their standard bottlings, I got a couple of the early ones a few years ago and reviewed them. I just love them, they're all wonderful. Look at that colour. That spec didn't give us any age statements. You can see most of the stock is between about 5 to 6, maybe 7 years old. And it's been sat in the glass for quite a while now. I've just done some cleaning around the house and had a shower and stuff. And we are ready to dive into this wonderful Ardnamurchan, the Midgie Release. Ooh. Straight up front, we're getting quite a lot of Sauternes and Madeira, as you would expect. Let's try and cut it into half. So I'm a bit of a Madeira fanboy, and everything I've had that's been in Madeira in the last couple of years has just really blown me away. So we're looking for those kind of sticky toffee date notes. And I would say you get like a toffee thing. That's not unusual. There are 13 bourbon casks in here as well. But it boils down more to slightly like crystallized ginger. There's a nice licorice note. I'm not actually a huge fan of licorice in general, but here it just seems to be counterbalancing ginger. There's a nice Werther's Original style note to it as well, and we get some nice butterscotch. Little waft of smoke running through. But I will say, between the Sauternes and the Madeira, the Sauternes seems to be quite dominant. If we think about Sauternes cask releases, obviously we've got Glenmorangie Nectador, and we have the Arran Sauternes cask. There are a few others, but those are kind of the key ones really. See if I can zoom in on the body of this, because it is doing some rather wonderful things to the glass. It's coating it beautifully. And I've never really gotten on with Sauternes cask matured whiskey. I just find it a little bit, like, it's sweet. But if you wanted sweeter, you could just do bourbon. And if you wanted more fruits and things, you'd probably just go port or sherry. So I've always been a bit 50-50 with Sauternes. But it is giving you, again, more of that ginger. There's like a patisserie. One of the official tasting notes for this is our brandy snaps. And I must say I agree wholeheartedly. There are some really nice ginger nut biscuit flavours going on. And on the subject of nuts, there's even like pecan, a little bit of maple syrup. And you're still getting this very overwhelming, not overwhelming, that's the wrong word, that's too like hyperbolic to describe, but there's this really floral elderflowery thing that seems to be pushing those nutty notes, those toffee notes, those gingery biscuit notes. And when I opened this, I think I'd managed to probably open the first bottle of this in Manchester. I bought this from a local spirits merchant to me called Tipples. Walked in and I expected a queue to be out the door because it's a fun new Ardnamurchan release. But no, I got handed a bottle and bought a few other things while I was there. And cracked it open and shared it amongst a few colleagues, and it's doing so well. Like, I'm currently looking at the window and there is a thunderstorm coming in as the wind picks up. But considering it's 48%, 60% peated stock and relatively young, it's a great like spring summer sipper. Let's dive into the taste. I've kept you all waiting for too long. Well, isn't that a delight? Hell of a finish on this thing. So up front, the initial arrival is beautiful and sweet. It's almost like crystalline sugar sweet. The Madeira and the Sauternes are working hand in hand, and you get these beautiful sugar syrup, vanilla, like chantilly cream, almost custardy approach to it. And again, a lot of bourbon barrel influence, and they seem to be having quite a lot of sway in the mix. I don't taste sherry at all, but obviously it tastes nice with the sherry butt in it. Again, apologies if you're snoring, my dog is asleep in the background. The mid palate, we start to develop these earthy notes that have been flicking up throughout the whole thing. We're picking up on licorice, we're picking up on ginger. Again, vanilla. It's slightly minty. I wonder what this would be like in a mint julep. That could be quite interesting. But then we have to talk about the finish. I'll do the palate again. I will taste it again, but I just need to talk about the finish. First of all, the texture. You want to talk about Ardbeg being oily and all this sort of stuff. Buy a bottle of this. This is so big on texture. And then the finish is this big, long, salty, smoky, very gentle I will say, but long, salty, smoky, extensive, rolling kind of finish. It doesn't feel like more than 58%. It drinks frighteningly easy at 48%. Did I say 58 or 48? It's 48, but it's so easy to drink at 48%. I can still taste it now. And again, we're just getting a remit of these sweet, earthy, spicy, smoky things. And it's £52 a bottle. There's like a trifecta of things happening as you kind of chew it around your palate. Just before you swallow it, you get peat, you get youthful spirit, and then you get a little bit of ginger. If you don't like the flavour of ginger, this whiskey probably won't be for you. But God, I love it so much. The contrast of sweetness and earthiness into the arrival of the smoke, because the smoke is so delicate on the nose, like you wouldn't really think it was there. Incredible casks doing incredible things here. That's the back of the label. Got some nice kind of, all those little dots of midgie flies and things. And then you've got this grumpy little fella on the front and his little bonnet. Quite fun. Really like this whiskey. That's an easy, like 8 for me. Some of you might be saying, why not higher? It's because it's not a particularly complex whiskey. It's doing 4 or 5 things really well. It's very affordable. It's high strength. It's going to be a core release, so you don't have to panic and rush out. I will say though, 6,200 bottles isn't a lot. And given that Scotland's about to go into their summertime, and summertime in Scotland is probably busier than Christmas, most of these I imagine will be gone fairly sharpish. But it's going to get a solid 8 from me. It's absolutely delicious. It's one of the best buys of the year in my opinion. And yeah, hopefully you've all picked one up too and opened it, and share your thoughts below. Thank you.